Don't wait till the battle's over. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now, shout now, right now. Shout now, shout now. Don't wait till you make it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. Today's going to be another awesome day. Today we are talking with a mixed media artist, and everybody knows that I enjoy everything art, but we have a super special guest today who actually has a showing coming up. So we're going to get started with this interview because they have a show right after this. Dylan, hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty great. Where are you right now?
Oh, I'm just enjoying the park a little bit. It's a little quieter, so I figured it'd be better for this situation. So,
No, I love it, like out in nature. And thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're getting ready for a show that you have coming up. Before we get into who you are and all of that, the show that you have coming up today, what is this show even about?
well, I think it's kind of like a couple years in the making. It's just like I did a lot of shows, sort of pre-pandemic, that were all over the place, and then it was nothing for a long time. So I think this show sort of spans a lot of that time period of sitting at home and having a lot of quarantine time to paint. So, yeah, I think that it's all over the place, but as per usual, I think that my themes are pretty consistent. I think it's just mixing. I think it's about almost like I think of every painting sort of like a freeze frame on time, and taking mundane, simple objects like a coffee cup, which is a common theme for me, and a lot of office supplies and stuff like that, and just like mixing them with like tubular sort of Escher type vibes, where it's just like a maze of nonsense. But mostly it's just a therapeutic process for me to live my life and take the time to do what I need to.
Well, the awesome thing about it, and I know I jumped in, for those people who are watching at home, I know I just jumped in and was talking about an artist, but Dylan, you're a mixed media artist, but you're also a musician. The show that you have coming up is based on your mixed media talents, correct?
Yeah. So all acrylic paintings, but I do a lot of acrylic on paper, and then I take that paper and I put it on canvas. I do a lot of spray paint stuff. Obviously, my stuff is like drenched in pop art, some street art. I got a little bit of street art background, but mostly just I call it mixed media because I think it's only fair. But most of what I do is acrylic painting.
So I know that you spent several years touring because you do music, and we're going to get to that, and playing and doing all these other things. But when it comes to your mixed media art or doing that type of aesthetic, I guess, if you will, how did you develop? When did you just say, like, oh snap, I'm good at this?
Never. I still try to get better and refine what I do every day, but it's just an ongoing process. Honestly, I think the thing that kept driving me was not the outlet, or rather not to show my work. I'm a little bit selfish in that nature. When I do art, it's entirely for me. I do show it, and I do end up, trying to sell it just to, help make ends meet. But for the most part, it's very much a mental health process for me to take the time and reflect. And while I'm doing that, I'm just, I try to incorporate a lot of these wild themes into my artwork, and just I have a deep passion for cartoons and things like that. So it's almost like, for me, it's a lot of what I do is escapism. And I think you can really see that when you look at my work. It's just wild robots and crazy things like that.
So let's talk a little bit about your music. You're an art. It seems like you're an artist kind of all the way around. So when it comes to trying, right?
I'm trying anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to music, what do you play? What do you do in music?
Yeah. So my first instrument and my home passion is percussion, drums, but I actually don't even do that as much these days with a live band. But I play in a band called Speaking Sons, and I also play in my own project called Grand Grand. Um, One is like my own projects more along the lines of like folky punk
Mm.
stuff. Uh, uh, and then Speaking Sons is more like indie dream pop, you could say. And
Yeah.
it's been really fun. I have the show today, the art show today, and then I have one night off, and then we leave at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning for Speaking Sons tour. We're heading to New York here this week, and we're doing a couple of shows out there in Boston, and then we'll be back next weekend. So
Wow.
it's gonna be
So you,
fun.
how do you balance, I guess, how do you balance the two when it comes to doing like you're doing a gallery show and then all of a sudden you're off to do music and then like how do you decide which one is going to be taking up your time?
I think they do go back and forth a lot, and I think with painting, most of that happens between the hours of like midnight and 3 a.m. So
Okay.
I'm a night owl when it comes to. I'm a night owl when it comes to my artwork, but with the band stuff and the balancing, I think the secret to doing it is being broke all the time.
Oh, okay.
I wish that it would that I could like afford to do it, but I think I live a pretty semi monastic lifestyle, you could say, in the sense that I work when I can. I mean, I do have a job. I actually work under an artist named Justin Tillett, so I work in ceramics and sculpture. He's also a mixed media artist, and he's been doing art fairs for years, and has sort of finally found a place to where now he can have people under him working
Mm.
and as his staff, and I'm one of those people. So I
Yeah.
work on a team of artists every day. So I'm really fortunate to have uh, found my way into a position like that. That it's technically I'm a uh, independent contractor,
Got it.
but that's sort of my day job, And then at night, it allows me to just work overtime. I never stop working, and then with music, I'm playing every weekend if possible.
Mm.
And I think the secret is just like a lot of coffee, a lot of coffee. Some, you know,
Yeah.
take time when you can.
Yeah.
But I try to keep moving.
I know a lot of times when speaking with artists or looking at their work or learning about them, a lot of times you can learn a lot about an artist by just kind of looking at what they create, or if you're a music artist, listening to the lyrics or the tones or all of that they create. When
Yeah.
looking at your art, what would people learn about you?
I think that if you take a deep look into my work, I think that you might, see somebody with a sort of cynical but fun perspective. I think I try to offer that. A lot of my work can go from cartoon, seemingly like innocent cartoons, but the deeper you look at it, there is sort of a darker underlying theme in a lot of my work. So I think, I think that that's kind of my goal. A lot of my heroes. I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Crumb, but he was an illustrator, cartoonist for many different projects. Some of which were very adult, some of which were meant for a broader audience. But yeah, I think that just his style was balanced back and forth between this sort of light-heartedness and this darkness, and I think that that's also something that I've naturally stumbled across through the
Mm.
process of refining my work and what I just like discovering what I like to do. But I'll never lose that cartoonist appreciation. So I'm trying to blend a lot of professional sort of abstract themes with this innocence of cartoonism and escapism, and yeah, is. It's I don't know. It's hard to
Yeah.
say. You have to tell me. I know
Yeah.
you'll be seeing my show, so you'll have to let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited to see it. I think that, when looking at it and, meeting people, it's always cool to see either the juxtaposition or it's like, that makes perfect sense, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure if there's any really big answer. I like to leave a lot of things
Yeah,
unanswered. So
yeah, yeah.
I think you'll have more questions than you will answers after seeing my show.
Well, in the world today, it's a very digital world, as you know. And as an artist, are people still interested as they were? Are they still as interested as they were in, say, art and in going deeper and looking more and being inquisitive that way? Or do you think that with the digital age, it's just kind of everybody is so now used to everything being kind of presented to them in this kind of cookie cutter, and this means this?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's both. I think more than ever, people are getting deeper into art, and then more than ever, people are just surface level and
Mm,
a little bit cookie cutter. I think that they're happening both at both times in both directions. I think you see examples of artists, in a hugely international art world, successful artists do something like very I would use the word pretentious, and I think that
okay.
sometimes, like in large art scenes, you'll see artists get away with doing these projects that are just like, you know, I mean, I know the artist Damien Hirst has come up a lot, and he's the guy who cut up a shark and put it inside, or well, he didn't cut it up, but he put it in a giant cube, and they put it in a hotel, and this shark was sealed in this giant cube of like varnish basically, or sealant, and then it started to like rot on the inside. And rather than letting that art piece develop over time, he just went and got a fisherman to kill another shark and replaced it with a fresh one. And that just seems so absurd to me,
Mm,
that you wouldn't just allow the piece to just like decay naturally, because that's the piece that you created. You know what I mean? And I
sure.
think that a lot of times, even the biggest people sometimes get it wrong, even though
Mm,
they get it right sometimes, and sometimes they get it wrong. And I think that's safe to say with any artist. And I think that sometimes, I guess, to go back to your question, like this idea of like digital versus, you know, I think that I love the aspect of virtual reality. I love the aspect of digital work. I have done digital graphic design stuff too, and
mm-hmm.
I love that stuff as well. And I'm all about it. I say push everything in every direction and try all new boundaries, because we're developing things that have never been seen before.
Yeah.
And I think that that's wonderful. But at the same time, I think a lot of these, old school artists are starting to become a little bit cookie cutter,
Mm,
trying to develop into this new age, and like, trying to evolve, which is great. I mean, sometimes it shows vulnerability, but I think overall, I think that you have both happening at all times. There's more people than there's ever been before on this planet.
yeah.
You're gonna have all the above. Some people say like it's diluted. The source is diluted, but I don't think it really works that way.
Mm,
I think that there are spikes of creativity at any place, at any time, in any human being. And I think that can happen anywhere, anytime. And anybody can just totally change the whole nature of the game. You know,
yeah.
I think that's the beautiful thing about artwork, is that it never, as much as we've seen already, and as much as there is cookie cutter artwork being thrown in your face to sell products every day,
Mm,
I think we're fortunate to have people who we have yet to hear, yet to see, that have yet to create this masterpiece that's going to change the world.
yeah.
So
I I think about the digital age and how quick it is and how easily accessible it is and how much we really don't have to think,
right,
like we really
right,
don't. Everything is right there. I don't have to remember telephone numbers. I don't have to remember, like details of anything anymore. I can just look on my phone, and I always, I do
Yeah.
marketing as well, and I always wonder how much that stifles creativity or imagination even, because it's like a muscle. We're just not used to using it anymore. A lot of us
Yeah.
anyway. I put
Yeah.
myself in that category, a lot of us.
As do I. Yeah. I think that we have times for both. Yeah. And I thought of another thing.
Huh.
Justin Tillett, this artist that I work for, he was at a show. He was at the um, Art Basel actually in Miami the year that they had the banana duct taped to the wall. Did you hear about that at all by
I did
chance?
not.
So
What?
yeah, somebody took a banana and duct taped it to the wall of a booth and sold it for millions and millions of dollars. And
What?
that's such a temporary thing. And that is using this speed, this fastness of culture, of viral culture, to accelerate.
Mm.
And as much as I can't stand the thought of it, it's also kind of beautiful in a way because, and look at NFTs. NFTs are this completely non-physical piece of art that many people have capitalized on, and many people have made millions and millions of dollars off of this file, essentially, or this, yeah. So I think that the digital world is greatly affecting the art world. It's just interesting to see how it's all playing out, and I think that it's about how we use it
Yeah.
that really counts, So, and I just thought of the crazy banana thing. So,
No, that was crazy. No, I've never heard of
yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
wonderful.
look it up,
Yeah,
duct tape banana.
that is, yeah.
I
Like,
don't remember how many millions it sold for, but they don't
I mean,
have
I
that
got
banana
bananas,
now.
and I'm like, I got a banana in the other room. Let me find out.
Duct tape it to the wall, sell a counterfeit. You know what I mean?
With your art, with you as an artist in so many different ways, what is your goal?
I think that if anything, my goal is to let people know that they can create their own realm, their own sort of safe space, their own place to be at peace, and that's I think a lot of artists have that in common actually. But I think that with my artwork, it's to immediately disarm you because that's the beauty of cartoons is that it disarms you, but then to also provide something deeper that is sometimes a social commentary or sometimes just like uh, you know throwing sort of nothingness, sort of this idea of just chaotic nonsense in someone's face. I think it's sort of healthy for them. I think that people need to observe things that they don't understand more often because I think it allows us to go out of our comfort zone a little bit, and that's good. I think that's good for people to some extent, and it allows them to, like you said, think a little bit deeper about what they're looking at,
Yeah.
and use themes that everyone's comfortable and used to. I've seen a lot of artists lately using brands, but manipulating the brands. Like, you see brands every day, they're thrown at your face all the time. And then I've seen certain artists take those brands and change all the lyric or change all the words of the brand, but leave the brand exactly the way it looks. So when you see it, you're seeing the same thing you've always seen. You might not even recognize that it's different, but it is totally different.
Yeah.
And I really love that aspect of art too. I've seen that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's about drawing people in and then making them sort of think a little bit more. And but yeah, I don't know if that answered the question. But
Yeah, no, it did.
overall, I think that I would love just the people to uh, try it themselves and just I think escapism is important because it's just taking time for yourself, especially in a society that's so hard to keep up with. I think it's really good to make that time and that space for yourself, and I think that it's good to both be involved as much as possible and to also take the time that you need. So
If you had to choose music or art,
cha
which one? Which one would you choose?
I probably couldn't, to be honest, but that's always been kind of a balance for me, you know, and I often have them butting heads from time to time. It's an impossible question to answer. I don't think I can. I don't think I can pick one, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think that might be my answer. I think I don't know. I just
like it's impossible. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Just end me now. You know, I just can't pick either one. So
Yeah, no, that's
you know,
cool.
yeah, that's tough. That's a really tough question, but
So what is? You said you had to pass.
I'm gonna have to pass on that question because I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it.
What is? I know you're going on your tour that's coming up apparently tomorrow.
Well, yeah, day after tomorrow. Yeah,
the day after tomorrow.
We hit the road.
So, what's after that? What's next? What else is coming up for you?
So, I'll be back. Speaking Sons will be back. I think our last show on our tour is Friday the 30th. We're going to be at the Woodward Theater with this band called Carriers, and it's in Cincinnati. The Woodward's a beautiful venue, and we're really excited for that one. After that, I think it's going to slow down a little bit because this month of September has been wild. But I'll probably keep maintaining. I know October there's Dayton Music Fest, which my band Grand will be playing at. So I'm looking forward to that one too. And, you know, for my art, I think I am going to be diving right back into it. I think I'm going to try and get ready for summer and do at least maybe 2 to 3 art fairs. And I'm going to go bigger than ever. This was my last show that's going to be these like the size canvas that I'm using. So
the one that you're having today at the Emporium is going to be a last show with this type of canvas.
With the size. After this, every canvas, I'm making my own canvas. I'm stretching my own canvas. I got the lumber for it. I've been saving up. All I got to do now is buy the canvas roll because that's not cheap. And once I get my canvas roll, I'm going to be making giant pieces. They're going to be huge. So
why did you decide to do that? It's like go big or go home. Why are we here?
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a funny thing. My boss always says, he always says, and it's a quote from somewhere, but it says, if you can't sell it, make it bigger. And if you can't sell it, if you still can't sell it, paint it red. And that's just kind of a joke.
I love it.
I think that I don't know where that quote came from, but I've heard him say it before. And yeah, I think that honestly, with me doing pop art like I do, cartoons and stuff, like a lot of people have asked me to do mural work. I've done mural work before, but I don't love mural work just because I don't have the time and the space. I'm a big fan of like my isolated space, and I feel like working in public doing artwork is kind of miserable for me because every 2 seconds people walk up and they're like, "What are you doing? Oh, what are you painting? Oh, what's that? What does that mean?" And that's great and all. I love to talk with people like that, but honestly, when I'm working, I just gotta get in the zone, and I can't really do that. So I've found painting murals to be difficult in that regard. So a giant canvas is my solution, and because I do want to paint big pieces, you know, and with my art being pop art and the way that it looks just is bright, you know, modern looking, you know, stuff. So I think make it giant, put it on a big canvas. And so, yeah, I think I'm now at a point in my career too. I was just talking to another artist about this. And, you know, she said she was explaining how she used to not feel comfortable putting a certain price on her pieces, but now that she's worked for so long at it, now she's comfortable with that. And I think this next show that I do, the price is almost irrelevant. I don't care if I sell it because I know what it's worth. So I'm going to put the price that I think that I want to put on it, you know, whereas, you know, sometimes as a working class artist, you have to put the price that you know is going to sell if you want to actually, if you're trying to sell work, you know. But I think that I've been doing that for so long now to where I've had a balance of like sort of some smaller pieces, bigger pieces. And now I'm just like, I'm going all in, I'm going all big. So that's my next goal for through the winter. I'm going to be stretching canvas and making giant pieces. And my next show, I'm going to have to find a huge room to show it because they're going to be massive.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to it.
That is crazy. Go
So those are
bigger.
that's my goal. Yeah.
How do you, I know that creativity can be a huge outlet. Clearly you have a lot of different outlets when it comes to painting and expressing yourself there, when it comes to music and expressing yourself there. Where in there do you find like your you time and decompression time and time to away from that? What do you do in those moments and where do you find them?
You know, in a lot of ways, I consider art to be me time. That's actually one interesting difference. As you asked me earlier if I had to choose music or art. The thing about art is that is kind of me time in a lot of ways, because usually that's just me in the wee hours of the night painting, but I would say nature and travel are also really nice getaways. Spending time with my partner as much as possible and relaxing and just watching movies and hanging out with family and having barbecues and stuff. Chilling out when I can. Food and nature are both two really important things to me as well. So I spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time in nature. So yeah, I think that sometimes it doesn't always feel like it, but I think it's hard because I have this hyper focus. I've always sort of dealt with undiagnosed ADHD, so art helps me hone that hyper focus in, and I think that in a lot of ways it helps me feel productive, and it makes me feel like it relieves this anxiety that like I have to be on my grind and I have to keep grinding all the time. And I think that art kind of does both of satisfying that sense of grinding and also the sense of like taking time for my mental health. It does both of those things because I know that I'll have something to show for that time, and that's kind of an interesting balance of so that's interesting when you ask me about like me time. It almost is kind of me time in a lot of ways. Art is, for that matter. Music can be a lot more demanding because I'm going to like bars and social situations all the time, and I'm playing and performing and moving gear and hauling gear and stuff. That could be a little bit more demanding, but and then when I have art shows, that gets crazy too. But usually, most of the time, art is a pretty calming thing for me, and definitely helps me process time and my thoughts. So
there's and we're as we close, I have one last question for you. I know a lot of times, when people are either growing up or they're later on in life, and people are weighing the balance of I'm passionate about art, but I don't know if I want to step out and do it full time. I just don't know. In your perspective, and to somebody who is maybe kind of listening and they're kind of evaluating that for themselves, for you, what has been the benefit to your life of saying, I want to pursue my passion for my life?
If I'm being real, I don't know the moment at which I started to do that, but I do think that the secret to making that happen and to becoming a full-time passion worker, it's doing your passion for your life is overtime. There's no way around it. With the society that we live in, demands that you work for money and that you have to make ends meet. It's just the nature of capitalism. But the truth is the only way to get past that is to go overtime. That's why I say, like, when I'm painting, most of the time it's from like the hours of 11 p.m. to like 3 a.m. That's my overtime, and that's after a full day of work. That's after it's like that's when I get home. I'm like, now I have to work for myself, because that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it is no matter how tired you are and how miserable it is, having to go to work. I served tables. I've been in the service industry for the last 15 years, and this is the first time in my life, actually, over the last year, that I've been out of the service industry and working as an independent contractor for an artist. So art is like my life now, which is a crazy experience. it does feel really rewarding. And I
Yeah.
think that's a really rare situation, but if you seek it out, you can find it. And I think that my recommendation to anybody who's considering doing that is to try to incorporate your passion into your work by finding something, and never stop looking for something that could provide you a sense of that at your work until it becomes your full-time job. So like, you know, if you can work, you know, in any way, shape, or form, in your field of passion, whatever that may be, then try and add that to it. Just work overtime, you know. And I think it is possible. So, and you know what? And this is all really work oriented, but I will say that if it's your passion, you have to do it anyways. You know, otherwise you're not going to satisfy, you know, a part of your soul or whatever. So, if even if you can't, you know, work at it every day, or even if you can't do it every day, do it when you can.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be enough to satisfy. So
Yeah.
it's
wise
worked.
words.
It's worked for me. And even if I'm not making money, you still got to do it, right? It's
Yeah.
your passion.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, thank you. I know that you have to run and go to your show, but thank you so much for taking the time out. And
Thanks for having me, Phillip. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So that's Dylan Sage. He's on his way to his show. But if you don't take anything else away, just take, if you are passionate about something, weave it into your life, and it just may become your full-time gig. But if not, continue to weave it in, because that's where you're going to find purpose and fulfillment. And as usual, remember that you are the best you in the world. I will see you next time here on The PHILLIP Show.
Don't